What is up, YouTube? HBJ here, and I am back uh, with another deck profile. And thank God I'm not tripping or falling over with this thing. I had to get a new stand for the phone so it can record, so you guys can see. Um, it a lot better, and it'd be a lot more stabler than it was with the Harpie deck profile. But yeah, I still have that on the wake. I have another deck on the wake, and I want to get this one out of the way because a lot of stuff is out of sale right now, unfortunately. Because I wanted to add Signet mining, which unfortunately I couldn't find, and I couldn't find any. Um, was it Flame Buffalo? So yeah, it's gonna be pretty strict for the most part, but I am enjoying the Salamangreat for what it's worth. So without further ado, let's get into the Salamangreat deck profile before I forget anything else. So with the new list had to come new build. I am running 3 copies of Salamangreat Spiny, 2 Salamangreat Foxy, 2 Salamangreat Foxer, 2 Jaguar, 1 Mole, 1 Gazelle, and 1 Falco. For the rest of the monsters, I'm running 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 2 copies of Backup Sentry, and 1 copy of Lady Debug. So, that's pretty much it for the monsters. For the spells, I'm rocking 2 copies of Fusion of Fire, 2 copies of Will of the Salamangreat, 2 copies of Salamangreat Sanctuary, 1 Salamangreat Circle. Then, for the rest of the spells, I'm rocking 2 Twin Twister, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Super Polymerization, 1 Burial from a Different Dimension, and 1 Monster Reborn. So that is it for the monsters. For the spells, sorry. For the traps, I'm rocking 3 copies of Salamangreat Roar, 2 copies of Gift of the Salamangreat Gift, 2 copies of Rage, and 2 copies of Gozen Match. Then for the extra deck, I'm running 3 copies of Bell Links, 3 copies of Sunlight Wolf, 2 copies of Heat Leo, 1 copy of Almarage, 2 copies of Mirage Stalio, 1 copy of Violet Chimera, 1 copy of Hida, the Flame Charmer Ablaze, 1 copy of Abyss Dweller, and 1 copy of Daigasto Emerald. So that is pretty much it for the main and the extra, so let's get over it. There are not a lot of Salamangreat monsters in the main deck that I was feeling, especially not from Dark Neostorm, and I wasn't too much feeling of the new spell either, so that's why you kind of don't see them. For the most part, the biggest hit, of course, for this deck with the new list was there is only 1 Salamangreat Gazelle now. If you don't know, Gazelle is pretty much one of this deck's biggest setup cards, because it has the ability to send any Salamangreat card from your deck to the graveyard. And with cards like Mole, Falco, Jaguar, Spiny, like the entire cast of monsters have effects both on the field, in hand, and in the graveyard, and have a lot of corresponding effects. And if it was not for Gazelle was pretty much the startup for that. Triple Spiny, primarily because of the fact that there is now only 1 Gazelle, so you want to get to Spiny as much as possible. I'm rocking 2 Foxy instead of 3, and that's because I'm now rocking copies of Foxer. So Foxy and Foxer, although they both look alike, and they actually happen to be on that spell card, a new Salamangreat spell card, which I wasn't too keen of that either. Foxer has the ability that if you have 3 or more Salamangreat monsters in your graveyard, you send it from your hand to the graveyard and target 1 Salamangreat Elite monster in your grave. Send that card back to the deck. Select a spell or trap. So select the card in your opponent's spell or trap zone, and then blow it up. So you have easy removal there, and then you have a way to recycle some of your Salamangreat extra deck monsters. In addition to that, it has the ability that if it's in the graveyard, you can special summon in defense position. But I forget what the algorithm is. Oh, if a spell or trap card your opponent in a card in your opponent's spell or trap zone is destroyed, you can special summon it. And of course, we all know what Foxer is. Reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Excavate the top 3 cards of your deck. You choose one that's a Salamangreat card. You add it to your hand. And then his other effect is that you can discard a Salamangreat card to special summon this card from your graveyard. No, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. Then you can target one spell or trap, face a spell or trap on the field and destroy it. So you pretty much get 2 ways of spell and trap removal within the Foxers. I doubled up on Jaguar so I could speed up the process of getting back to Gazelle. And then just having another attacker on the board. The Salamangreat Mole staying here at 1 of, because I didn't feel like it was something necessarily needed to be at 2. It is a free drop, it's a free summon, so you get a lot in that range. And then I was questioning to bump up a second Falco, but I think 1 Falco is enough just because of how I have double of this. I have a lot of the recycling capabilities. Digesto Emerald's back, which is amazing. So I have a lot of utility to bring stuff back and forth through the deck with a lot more ease. So yeah, that's pretty much the Salamangreats. As far as the rest of the deck itself goes, Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs happens to be still one of the deck's biggest saving graces. Because when the structure deck was, of course, announced, no one believed that we were getting Ash Blossom as a common, and sure enough, there she was as a common, and bam, sure enough, there she was, being able to be gotten from a structure deck. It is on a rare occasion that any useful or diligent support comes out of a structure deck, so when it did come, it was a saving grace. Also, funny enough, she's getting an alternate art form. She'll be I think in ultra rarity, I believe. Maybe ultra, maybe super. We don't know what deck Devastators have for us, but we do know they'll have Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Still one of this game's highest up hand trap monsters in this game. I have to say extra monsters. No, hand trap monsters in use right now in the game, and still one of the most potent ones of them all. Because practically every deck that in the game does what she can negate. The backup Sentry, Lady Debug, backup Sentry, because everybody in this deck, of course, is a Cyverse monster. So you have an access to an additional monster to either link summon with or exceed summon with, depending on what your need is. Lady Debug, of course, is the Cyverse Stratos. The only downside to Lady Debug, of course, she is at 1, which is her only downside. I think that's the only problem with her. And then the fact that she's light, because if she was fire, she'd work a little more sufficient with the deck. But because of how this deck does need to thin itself out, search out for a lot of its pieces, is how you get into a lot of its pieces. Is by having enough of the searchers, and then getting into a lot of your Cyverse monsters themselves. You can easily rock this. I should actually consider swapping Gozen Match out for Rivalry Warlords, just because most of this deck is primarily Cyverse. But I was also thinking ahead of Fire and keeping it in a base, because Backup Sentry and them are only for utility. Oh, sorry, I took them away without releasing. Backup Sentry and Lady Debug are really just here for utility. If there were a lot more free floaters, maybe I should look into Raging Tempest if it has any Salamangreat cards. I know the next set after will have Salamangreat cards, so I'll look into them as well. And then hopefully by the end of the month or beginning of August, I'll have a better setup for this deck. But yeah, this is pretty much what I'm rocking out right now. Alright, we're going to move on to the spells. The only spell literally that got hit in the Salamangreat engine was the Circle, because it's a Forbidden Lance. It's their search card, and it's a quick play spell. And then you have Falco in them that helps put it back onto the board. So, the one Circle, because this is, of course, the Rhoda for the archetype. Then we move on to, of course, the fusion spell of it. Despite the fact that there's triple super polymerization, I'm still rocking out with double fusion of fire, because this is a Salamangreat key card, especially when you go to Violet Chimera. And if you want to run multiple Chimera now that we do have multiple super polarizations, go for it. I don't know if multiple fusions of fire is going to be needed now because we have super poly and because of the interactions you can have with super poly that your opponent can't have with super poly. So maybe so. In I can see a lot of weird yet strange variations of Salamangreat work, even though that we only have what, one Lady Debug, one Circle, and one Gazelle. So we'll get to that. Will of the Salamangreat, pretty much this deck Soul Charge. Well, this archetype Soul Charge, and the fact that it allows them to get a lot of their monsters back onto the deck, onto the field based on the link rating of a monster who used a monster with the same name as its link material. Also, wouldn't count because there's going to be two more monsters added to this archetype in the extra deck: the Phoenix and I believe the Dragon. So I can't wait to see the calamity those two are going to be bringing. I'm still rocking 2 Salamangreat Sanctuary. Great utility. This is pretty much the utility spell for this archetype. Spell fusion. Well, not just fusions. I'm sorry, fusion spells. Field spells have become a buff in this game. No matter what archetype it is, someone's getting a crazy field spell, and somehow it just helps that archetype completely. And Salamangreat Sanctuary is one of them. It's an amazing spell card for an archetype. The fact that you can swap in a link monster who's using its link, who uses a monster for its link summon as its link material to get it onto the board. And you see the interactions this deck has with a lot of its own link monsters, especially when they have that clause attached to them. Of if you use a monster whose name, if you link summon this monster, use a monster with the same name as material. Here's these additional effects, and the speed up process is thanks to Sanctuary in its effect. So that is just pretty much the Salamangreat spell. I'll move on to the rest of the other spells. Double Twin Twister to deal with a large amount of back row, because I'm still trying to grasp the new list and try to figure out what just happened. But the fact that we have triple Solemn Judgment will be a problem for most decks, especially this one. So giving the double Twin Twister could factor in, maybe a third one if case. But it does have a lot of interaction with the deck. You have a lot of cards you can discard. You have a lot of cards that interact with cards being sent to the graveyard with Salamangreat in their name. So that's an easy setup right there. And then you can knock out multiple cards. You can chain this to a lot of things. You can easily breeze by a lot of things. And this can even be a good opening ploy if your opponent's going first or going second. You can set this, flip it, take out your opponent's stuff, or on your turn, draw, Twin Twister, knock out cards that you need to knock out, and then go from there. So, solemn. Twin Twister, the card delay. So those are the Twisters. Foolish Burial from a different dimension. I wanted cards to interact some more with the graveyard. The Burial from a different dimension is to help out with Spiny. And relatively, because it's sending cards to the graveyard, you can trigger Gazelle. Foolish Burial, same thing, but Foolish Burial, you can hit a lot of cards as well. You can hit Gazelle, you can hit Falco, you can hit Spiny, you can hit, a lot of cards with this that Gazelle can't get to because Gazelle's at 1. So there's that option there. And also, just to go back to Foolish Burial, there is another card Foolish Burial can easily get to as well. And that's Mole. And Mole's effect to be the Pot of Avarice of the deck. But you have to control all monsters or stuff while you do it. Well, that's perfectly fine. But as long as Burial can send stuff back to the graveyard so I can use it again, that is a great enough purpose to be into the deck right now. We'll move on, of course, to Super Polymerization. So this card being at 3 brings back some memories of Heroes. But now looking at the game right now and how much fusion support can easily be used, a deck like Salamangreat can easily take advantage of multiple Super Polymerizations. If I had the multiple Super Polys, I probably would be playing them as well. But Fusion of Fire still helps itself out. Just Super Polymerization is a quick play, while Fusion of Fire is still a normal spell. But yeah, this card can't be negated. Nothing can be chained to it. And Fusion Summon a monster. So So yeah, that's polymerization. I think there's not much left to this. And of course the one reborn to help out with a lot of the additional cards and additional setups that are needed. Let's move on to the spells. The traps. I'm still rocking, of course, each of the Salamangreat support cards for the extra deck. For the trap card lineup. Still one of its most solid setups. You have Icarus Attack, you have a bit of a Pot of Avarice, and you have a Judgment. I could be running like multiple Judgments if I wanted to, but this one is just more free flowy. I don't have to rush so much of it, and I can rush into it if need to with being able to search for it and put it in the graveyard to set it back up. So that is the three of them. Oh, you know what? I left them closed. Oh, there. Oh, whatever. I'll do it later. Alright, the last trap card in the deck is Gozen Match. So, pretty much anti-multiple attribute deck card right here. You can easily swap this out for Rivalry Warlords because that more so focuses on type, not attribute. So, in the case of what I'm rocking, those Lady Debugs that Secretary, they're all light, but they're Cybers. So take your poison. Do you want to go for the Gozen matches, or you want to go in headstrong for the rivalries? If I can find them rivalries, I'll go for the rivalries, but I'm rocking the Gozen because those are just floaters to get into my other monsters. This is more so an offensive, defensive type of setup. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the extra deck. For the main deck. Why I keep saying extra deck? Because I'm holding the extra deck. Alright, let's move on to it. Still pretty much more so of what it is a Salamangreat. You still have your complete extra deck engine to run bases to. Of Salamangreat Leo, Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf, and Salamangreat Bow Links. And then, of course, you have Mirage Dalio and the summoning a monster from the deck, being able to bounce stuff when he uses a link material for a link summon of a Salamangreat monster. Very high offensive stats as well. So you have him, you have the bounce of Leo, you have the recovery of Sunlit Wolf, and you have the defenses of Balance. So Owl Mirage, the newest and latest Salamangreat monster to be released in the TCG. Really good extra deck monster that can easily fit into a lot of extra decks because of all the normal summons. He pretty much just needs a monster who has been normal summoned with 1,000 or less attack. He can protect that monster. He can protect the monster on your side of the field from being destroyed by a card effect. If a monster that was normal summoned is destroyed by a card effect or battle while he's in the graveyard, you can test to summon him to the field. So you get a range of that. I only have one because this is actually one of the few secrets in the set that are, in Battles of Legends, that did go for the Salamangreat, because the others are Will of Salamangreat and Salamangreat Sanctuary that have high rarity prints now. But this is the one that is just really, really good, that can fit into anything because it's so generic and just such a generic setup. So that is the Owl Mirage. And then, of course, we got to talk about the other big hitter in the deck, the OTK card himself, Violet Chimera. Even though this deck is very predictable, a lot of his plays may change up now just due to the fact that they did lose some of their heavy hitters, but they didn't lose enough of their pride and spirit to set up a lot of their plays to take out a lot of their competitors and a lot of the competing decks. So it still can be a chance that this deck can strive. We've seen the OCG watch it literally strip it apart. So for the Salamangreat, anything can go now. They have a lot of resources they can still use. They have a lot of resources they can abuse. Well, everyone would be surprised if we see a full-out fusion setup deck via Salamangreat to benefit from Violet Chimera and Heat Leo's interactions with each other. So that is all of the Salamangreat extra deck monsters. 2 Mirage Delio, 2 Heat Leo, 1 Owl Mirage, 3 Wolf, and 3 Balinks. And then that 1 Chimera. That 1 Chimera can easily change itself up to maybe 2, or maybe I can run multiple Mirages, but I'll figure it out in due time. Alright, so the only extra deck monsters left are, of course, Heat to the Flame Charmer Blaze, which helps with mirror matches. She's Witch of the Black Forest when she's destroyed and sent to the graveyard. She is treated as a familiar possessed monster, but only really interacts with their deck. And of course, she can. I forget what her other effect is. Oh, she can target a fire monster in your opponent's graveyard, and she can such summon to your side field, to which she points at. So gives you an extra monster to link with, synchro with, exceed with, all those crazy things. Abyss Dweller to deal with graveyard effects and deal with graveyard situations. And of course, the return of Daigusto Emerald, the walking pot of avarice. I really want to see how the game will interact now that we have Emerald back, because they didn't give us Lavalval Chain. They gave us Emerald. So I'm really questioning to see how far this will go and how far it will work. Because Emerald, this is the first time Emerald's been back. If you're not too familiar with Daigusto Emerald is pretty much a walking pot of avarice in his effect. He's very generic to level 4 monsters, and he has the ability to detach a material to do one of the following effects. He can summon a normal monster in your graveyard to the field, or he can target up to 3 cards in your graveyard, 3 monsters in your graveyard, shuffle them back into your deck, and then you draw off of it. There were tons of plays and setups for Daigusto Emerald. I believe Emerald was even at a large period of time because of the fact that so many things happened because of Emerald and Emerald setup. So, yeah. Well, I think that's about it for this deck profile. Pretty much going to end it off here. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys do enjoy. Don't worry, I'll have another variation of Salamangreat up at the end of the month, because I really want to work out a couple more things. Probably won't be the IRL version, probably just be me on like YGO Pro and stuff doing it there. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys next time. HPJ signing out. Take care.